Polling around the country nearing completion. NCD counting delayed by snubbed scrutineers. And one-day polling for Hagen open to go ahead tomorrow.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Friday's news. The Electoral Commission says polling around the country is being completed with 5 more provinces to go. Commissioner Patilius Gamato says they allowed polling on Sunday in some parts of the country to let people exercise their democratic right. Bethany Harriman with this report.
The Electoral Commission has announced HELA and NCD have started counting, while other parts of the country are still polling. The Commissioner said this afternoon the elections are progressing well.
Polling across the country is progressing well according to the gazettal notice and are near completion. Individual details of progress of polling will be given to you this afternoon. Most electorates have completed polling and the pre-counting checks are underway. In 3 provinces, counting in their respective electorates has started. They are Ella Province, Chimbu Province and National Capital District. Other electorates will follow suit when they are ready by this weekend.
But MTV knows NCD counting has been further delayed. Plus, Moresby South hasn't started counting today. They could start this evening. Moresby Northeast counting hasn't commenced, while Moresby Northwest is only preparing for counting. Mr. Gamato was also asked about the polling that happened on Sunday in Yalibu Pangia electorate. Some candidates said it was illegal by law, but Mr. Gamato says those who feel they lost because of that can go to court after the elections.
It's actually in law. What they said is true, but it's also arguable. Sunday and public holidays is because, well, Sunday because of the religious reasons. But the fundamental right of the voters are also important to be considered. So when the returning officer cannot fix a date and poll on Saturday, they decided to move it to Sunday, and people came and voted. So my position is that I will let it go, and if someone is really seriously aggrieved with that decision and the polling on Sunday, they can dispute that in the Court of Disputed Returns.
The Electoral Commission is also being scrutinized by overseas observers who will come out with their independent review of the 2017 general elections. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato says candidates shouldn't be hijacking the Commissioner's press conference. It comes after there were talks that several more petitions were going to be presented to the Commissioner today. There have been more than 2 petitions presented to the Electoral Commission by candidates. Once again, Bethany Harriman with this report.
From when the polling started, the Electoral Commission has been giving live updates of the election progress. But the event has also been used by candidates to come in, get free airtime and hand in their petitions. There have been more than 2 petitions handed at this time, and the Commissioner wants it to stop.
This is a press conference, Commissioner's press conference to address the media and the public. I don't expect them to come, but as you know, they just barge in and come and interfere with the press conference. It's not right, it's not correct. If they want to have a separate meeting to present petitions, they should organize it differently.
The whole episode is humorous on live television and comes close to a reality show. But this is Papua New Guinea elections and nothing less is expected.
And so I hope that they can start changing their attitude. They're leaders in their own right, contesting to become leader. So they must start respecting the laws and the independence of this office.
Mr. Gamato has handled it pretty well up until this afternoon when there were rumors of candidates hijacking yet another press conference for the sake of giving the Commissioner one more petition. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News.
Counting for the NCD regional seat began last night and continued this morning, but was suspended after count 14. Scrutineers refused to return to the counting venue because they claim their grievances were not properly addressed by the election manager.
Counting for the NCD regional seat was delayed because scrutineers refused to enter the counting venue. They say some of their grievances were not properly addressed by the NCD elections manager, Alwyn Jimmy. After the first shift for counting officials ended at 9:30 this morning, counting officials left the counting venue and did not return for at least 3 hours. As of count 14, sitting Governor Powes Sparkop is leading the race with 1,243 votes. Trailing behind on over 600 votes, former NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer, and Michael Kandiu is in third place with over 400 votes. Counting for the NCD regional seat started last night. Elections manager Alwyn Jimmy says they are hoping to count at least 30 ballot boxes per day. Meanwhile, there are over 100 ballot boxes yet to be counted. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
More news on the national general elections after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Polling officials from the Atoll Islands of the autonomous region of Bougainville are expected to arrive in Buka tomorrow. Acting Election Manager Desmond Timiaso told MTV News they are now waiting for the remaining ballot boxes to allow counting to proceed. Polling in the Nisan Island is complete and ballot boxes have been locked up at the Buka police station waiting counting. Meanwhile, polling in Tinputs is expected to be completed tomorrow. Polling for Hagen open seat is being deferred to tomorrow, while the other 3 electorates in Western Highlands went to polls today. Some of the candidates for Hagen open and their supporters blocked off road this morning at the Kimininga police barracks, preventing security forces to dispatch ballot boxes. After a heated argument by the candidates and the election steering committee, they agreed to go to poll on Saturday. The Nawai district in Morbe will be one of the first to start counting tomorrow. This afternoon, boxes for the regional seat were taken to the Sir Ignatius Kilagi Stadium in preparation for the regional count on Monday. Counting for Nawai will be held at the Lay Telecom College.
Polling is over for one of the most rugged districts in the Morbe province. The process was slow but on schedule. At the Telecom Training College, boxes for the Nawai open seat were separated from the regional seat. Each seal noted in the presence of security personnel. Then a convoy of vehicles took the regional boxes to the Sir Ignatius Kilagi Stadium.
Team 7.
The tedious process of accounting for the boxes in the presence of scrutineers began again.
When we got 52 boxes, 52 teams, so I'm 52 boxes to count.
Nawai district will be one of the first rural electorates to begin counting, and they expect to take up to 6 days to get through all the boxes before elimination happens. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Lay.
Polling in the 6 districts of Madang province are winding down, with most of the districts expected to complete polling by Wednesday at the latest. In a meeting held this afternoon, returning and assistant returning officers informed the Provincial Election Steering Committee most of the LLGs and wards have completed polling. Areas which are still polling are those areas that have started late due to logistics, security and other issues that have caused the delay. Martha Louise with this report.
At around 1 o'clock this afternoon, the Provincial Election Steering Committee together met with the returning and assistant returning officers and security personnel. The meeting was for the Steering Committee to get an update from the returning and assistant returning officers from the 6 districts. Madang Open is expected to complete polling tomorrow. Only 2 teams are still conducting polling and are expected to finish on Saturday. In Middle Ramu, all teams are expected to complete polling on Tuesday. Usinobundi started late due to no security personnel on the ground to provide security, thus led to voters demanding security presence before polling commences. They are expected to complete polling on Wednesday at the latest, given the geographical location in some of the areas, as well as fuel for vehicles. For Raikos, only 2 LLGs, Nahorawa and Astrolabe, have completed polling and have transported their ballot papers to the Jomba police station yesterday. 12 ballot boxes for Astrolabe and 14 ballot boxes for Nahorawa LLG were now locked up at the Jomba police station.
I completed mine Tuesday, Monday, and I brought the ballot boxes to Medellin during the night, and I locked them up in the Yombas lockup at around 9 o'clock.
I brought all the ballot boxes by vehicle. I have 6 for the open and 6 for the original. I brought them all by vehicle.
Counting is now scheduled to start on Tuesday. Matalubis, National EMTV News, Medang.
Despite Electoral Commissioner Patilias Gamato announcing that counting has begun for Moresby Northeast, the venue was quiet today. Polling officials have yet to receive their allowances. Returning Officer Thomas Rango says they are finalizing the list for officials so that the funds can be credited before counting begins.
The long delay in counting for the Moresby Northeast electorate has caused anxiety among scrutineers and candidates who say they need to be informed about the results. Even security personnel who are manning the counting venue, Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex, have been kept uninformed about the delay since Monday. This afternoon, the question was raised by media at the Electoral Commission headquarters during Commissioner Patilias Gamato's press conference. Responding to that, Mr. Gamato maintained that counting will resume this afternoon.
NCD, as you know, polling for NCD is complete, and they have started counting yesterday. And hopefully by tonight, all other electorates in NCD will start.
Mr. Gamato says he will visit the venue this afternoon. The delay was because allowances for polling officials who will be involved in counting have not been sorted out. Returning Officer Thomas Rango says they are updating listings for the polling officials with their accounts so that their allowances will be credited.
Bit of a problem with the polling officers where they really wanted the pays or allowances to be paid before they proceed on to counting. So we are really working hard on trying to get a listing into the system, listing that contains the account details.
Counting for Moresby Northeast is expected to begin tomorrow. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Enga Provincial Police Commander George Kakas says security forces deployed for polling in Enga will play a vital role. Kakas said joint forces and local police will be out in polling stations to make sure polling is not disturbed. There are 416 polling stations in Enga.
After 3 days of delay, Enga goes to the polls today. The Provincial Police Commander says additional forces from Southern Highlands and Simbu will support local police.
We've also got the MS-8 from Kirawaki. We've been here for also 2 weeks. Just last night, we had the rollover troops from the Southern Islands, 312 in all.
All ballot boxes have been sorted out and cross-checked by polling officials, presiding officers and police. Local police were given specific instruction to be responsible for a fair and safe polling in Enga. PPC Kakas admitted the build-up of unlicensed firearms in the province but says joint forces are doing the best.
We have not come across any firearms. We have not confiscated any firearms, but we all know that there are firearms out there in the districts, in the villages. Even candidates and the supporters are also carrying firearms. We've done roadblocks, we've done random checks.
Like other provinces in the Highlands, the Enga election manager says if setbacks do occur, the one-day polling will extend to tomorrow.
If we have some still yet polling, then we will do the extractions on the 8th. And I believe on the 8th we'll be ending our polling as scheduled.
Yamaha says grievances relating to allowances will be addressed after the declarations.
They must know that allowances are not paid until after the elections.
A team from the Australian High Commission is in Enga to observe the polling. Jack Lapava Jr. National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Back in the nation's capital, it has been a slow start for counting in Mosby South. A briefing was held by the returning officer Michael Are to brief counting officials and scrutineers before counting begins. 16 ballot boxes were removed from the container just before 2 p.m. Are said the 16 ballot boxes will be counted for each shift, which means 32 boxes to be counted per day. They are aiming to finish counting within 5 days and be able to make a declaration by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Are called on scrutineers and counting officials to cooperate in order to reach their target date before classes for school commences. Counting is taking place at the Kila Kila Secondary School, and Mosby South has a total of 96 boxes. Marilyn Diokatam is at the counting venue to give us an update. Good evening, Marilyn. What can you tell us?
Yes, good afternoon, Helen. Here at the Kila Kila Secondary School, the shift actually ended for the counting officials, so they stopped counting at 4 p.m. They took out 16 ballot boxes from the container for counting. However, they only counted one ballot box. As of 4 p.m., Justin Chichenko has 95 votes. Second is Noel Zeria, he has 76 votes. Number 3 is Samson Carrillo with 69. And number 4 is Anna Biscate with 24. And number 5 is George Lavari with 9 votes. Counting will resume at 8 p.m. tonight. That's according to the Mosby South returning officer, Michael Are. It will continue from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. But tonight they will resume counting the remaining 16 ballot boxes. Back to you, Helen.
Marilyn, will counting go throughout the night?
Yes, counting will resume from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's for the second shift. For the remaining 16 ballot boxes, the next shift will start at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you, Marilyn. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.307 $0.4017 Australian dollars, $0.2657 euro, and 34.4 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil and copper closed higher, while crude oil closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 158.13 points lower, the ASX closed at 52.87 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 51.43 points lower. The day's other stories here and abroad when we come back, including an expedition to planet Mercury. Stay with us. Welcome back. And more on the elections, we go now to EMTV's Jack Lapava Jr., who is in the Highlands region to give us more updates. Good evening, Jack. What can you tell us on the Hela counting?
Yes, for the regional seat after count 48. Philip Bundialu is leading with 16,864, followed by Dr. Ewali with 7,448. Third place, we have Francis Potape with 7,056. For the Taripori Open, sitting MP James Marape is leading after count 78 with 28,727. Followed by Johnny Phillip with 12,249 and James Ayala with 6,662. Taripori has completed the primary counting and should go into elimination tomorrow. For the Koroba Kopiago, we have Bobby Yapi with 4,743 after count 43, followed by Matthew Manga with 4,423. Gabriel Pika is in third place with 4,355. For the Como Magarima, after count 48, we have Peter Philip Tuliani with 7,571. Second place, running second, is Manasseh Makipa with 6,142. Running third is Paul Pale with 4,292.
Are you expecting Taripori to be declared tomorrow?
Not really tomorrow, as according to the LA election manager John Tipa, Taripori has completed the primary counts today and should go into elimination tomorrow, and probably a possibility of declaration either on Sunday or Monday.
Any other election news from other provinces in the Highlands?
For Western Highlands, polling in the other 4 electorates commenced today, except for Hagen Central. According to security forces in one of the sites they listed in Tambul Medulia, polling was quiet despite discrepancies in the electoral roll and double voting concerns. Otherwise, polling was peaceful, with ballot boxes to be returned to Hagen Town by tonight.
Thank you, Jack, for the updates.
You're welcome.
25 officers from the Leh Fire Service have raised concerns over delayed fortnights. Fire Station Commander Superintendent Balkena said it was frustrating for his officers to work without pay for 2 consecutive fortnights. Staff from the Leh Fire Service are now calling on Fire Services headquarters and the government to address this issue.
These officers from the Leh Fire Service have been without pay for 2 fortnights, an issue that has been faced in the past, but for the first time consecutively. Speaking on behalf of the 25 staff who have not been paid is firefighter Weiss Sotten.
This will every costume some every lo mipla. I must say 1 month mipla stop nothing now.
Between the years 2013 and 2016, Leh City was subject to a number of fire incidents. Buildings that were burnt down within this period include 2 Brandwell shops, the Pelgans Wholesale, the G4S base and several others. The Leh Fire Service has been operating with 1 fire truck for the whole city. This fire truck currently needs servicing.
It's been a quotation, but they said there's no money. If anything goes wrong with these are bolts and nuts, and we will soon have no fire trucks to care for the lives and property in the city of Leh.
Problems with electricity in staff houses have been ongoing.
3 houses, they have not been paid. The power supply to the houses has been cut due to non-payment of bill.
The workers are now calling on the management of the fire services and the government to address these issues.
So 1 block, good man can come down and look him the side block for every patch scheme. Now side woman of pay blom.
And I'm appealing to the government and the management to solve this problem.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
Efforts to get a response from the management of the fire services have been unsuccessful. Today, the International Training Institute celebrated its 50th graduation in 18 years of operation as PNG's largest private training institute. Since it started in March of 1999, it has gained popularity for its globally accredited courses and commended for producing a bulk of the nation's human resource.
265 students graduated today with certificates and diplomas in business and IT courses. Present to witness the graduation today was the Assistant Governor for Corporate Affairs of the Bank of Papua New Guinea, Elizabeth Kenya, Dr. Osborne Sanira, Acting Director of the National Research Institute, and the PNG Customs Chief Commissioner, Ray Paul. The guest speakers tailored their speeches to complement the graduation theme, Higher Education Authenticates Good Citizens, putting emphasis on the importance of human resource for a developing country like ours.
Of all the economic resources of a country, the most important one is the human resource. People are durable and renewable resources, and the quality of human capital is the ultimate determinant of the economic success or failure of nations.
Since its inception in 1999, the institution has produced over 12,000 graduates and has been commended for its contribution to the human development of PNG.
Looking back to your 18 years of success in developing human resource, I see you've been a leader, and I urge you to continue to pursue that potential.
ITI's Managing Director Senthil Sentheval said the institution is making headway to developing degree programs already approved by TESA to launch next year. Sentheval says this will set the path for the institution to become recognized as one of the universities in PNG.
I see no reason why you can be the 7th national university.
Meanwhile, by popular demand, the private institution is progressively expanding its reach in the nation with 11 campuses already established. Combined with its affordability, reach and flexible course schedules, becoming a university has been forecast to be a step forward for PNG at a time when the nation is sitting at 154 out of 185 nations in Human Development Index. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas, President Donald Trump used his first major speech in Europe to warn the very survival of the West is at risk. The U.S. president challenged Europe to defend Western civilization against Islamic extremism. He's now heading to the G20 meeting in Germany, where before the summit even begun, protesters and police have clashed.
The famous port of Hamburg, tonight a disembarkation point for anarchists, anti-capitalists, anti-globalization protesters, and the leaders of the world's 20 richest nations. Protesters, stones and fireworks being met by police tear gas and water cannon. No such hostility when the president ventured out in Warsaw this morning. Not everywhere in Europe would they chant Donald Trump's name so loudly or so approvingly. But with its populist anti-immigration government, this was politically the ideal place to come.
You were supported in that victory.
And by dint of Poland's history and geography, the perfect location too, to deliver a message about the challenges facing the West.
The fundamental question of our time is whether the West has the will to survive. Do we have the confidence in our values to defend them at any cost? Do we have enough respect for our citizens to protect our borders?
In the 1940s, the threat was Nazism. This sculpture commemorating those who died in the Warsaw Uprising, the backdrop against which the president delivered his speech. Today, he identified the threat as Islamist extremism, but he had another target in his sights too.
We urge Russia to cease its destabilizing activities in Ukraine and elsewhere, and its support for hostile regimes, including Syria and Iran, and to instead join the community of responsible nations in our fight against common enemies.
That's the most outspoken he's been about Russia, and it comes on the eve of his eagerly anticipated first meeting with Vladimir Putin. But on Moscow's interference in last November's US presidential election, something his intelligence services say is an undoubted fact, the president again equivocated.
I think it could very well have been Russia, but I think it could well have been other countries, and I won't be specific.
Then it was on to Germany and what promises to be a testing summit with disagreements over North Korea, free trade, immigration and climate change. And Angela Merkel and Donald Trump, who met this evening, disagree on much of this. The joint communiqué is going to be a test of the bureaucrats' drafting skills.
Space scientists are about to launch a rare expedition to one of the most puzzling planets in the solar system. It will take 7 years to reach Mercury, 58 kilometers from the Sun.
Mercury has long been a mystery, the smallest planet in our solar system and the closest to the Sun. And yet in temperatures hot enough to melt lead, there's ice on the surface.
And understanding how that's all there still on Mercury so close to the Sun is a big challenge. There's also the interior of Mercury. Why does it have, it seems to have at least, a liquid metal core that generates a magnetic field like we have on the Earth? Nobody expected that when that was discovered.
Now a space probe is making a rare expedition to unlock Mercury's secrets. A joint Japanese-European mission will see 2 spacecraft orbiting the planet for a year. One studying the surface and what's inside, the other going much higher, studying the region of space influenced by Mercury's magnetic field. The 4-ton spacecraft is the largest to be sent to the hot, hellish planet. It will take 7 years just to get there.
The difficulty with getting to Mercury is twofold. First of all, we have a large energy requirement to get from the Earth to Mercury. It's difficult in the sense that we're going towards the Sun. You'd think, well, we have more energy from the Sun, but it turns out we also get hotter from the Sun. And because we get hotter from the Sun, we need to protect the spacecraft from that.
An ambitious mission to finally take a closer look at our least studied planet.
A slight correction, Mercury is 58 million kilometers from the Sun, not 58 kilometers. True Guys Sports is next. Details after the break.
True Guys Sports.
Welcome to True Guys Sports. The school's rugby selections trials have just been finalised following 2 days of trials at the Sir Bill Skate Oval at Calgary in Port Moresby. NCD 1 versus NCD 2 select sides in under 16 and under 18 will play the curtain raiser for SP Hunters versus Burleigh Bears match at the National Football Stadium this Sunday. The under 16 division will kick off the proceedings at 12 noon, followed by the under 18 at 1 p.m. The NCD team will be selected from these trials for the Southern Confederation Championships later this month. National basketball women's coach Moi Mori says there has been great talent discovered since the start of the national championships on Tuesday. Mori said it will be a tough decision to make at the end of the championship to select a national women's team. Goduneki reports.
As the competition nears its final stages, national women's coach Moi Mori says so much talent has come on board in this year's National Basketball Championship. As the national women's coach, Mori says selecting a national squad for the women's team will be a tough decision. But he says the federation will make sure that a strong team is selected and that PNG is represented by the best of the best in the Melanesian Championship.
There's a lot of young talent here. A lot of, like I see, I know a lot of associations haven't played in their own associations. I think they have just picked themselves and come, represented their associations. But the talent is there if they could continue playing in their associations.
He said since the Under-18 National Championship, so much young talent has come under the spotlight and are dominating the scene. As Murray looks forward to working with the national women's team after the championship, he says the aim is to create a gold medal team.
Yes, it's going to be very tough. I think the senior players really need to push themselves to get in the place. At the moment, nobody's selected. They're all trying to get into the team, and they have to really try their best to get into the team.
National men's coach Joel Kalu says since the Pacific Games in 2015, overseas-based players such as the Wright brothers have raised the level of their game, as well as other national players who are all vying for a spot in the national men's team.
You know, we obviously are looking to identify certain types of players to fit not only our criteria of what we want, but fit I think the overall mould best for the team. So, it's hard. It's not an easy job with so many talented players, both men and women. there's probably going to be some selections that, you know, some of the coaches of sides here may not agree with, but...
Straight after the selection of the national men's and women's team, they will have only 10 weeks for training before the Melanesian Championships.
You know, our job as head coaches, both myself and Moy, is to put on the best sides that we think can go out and win gold medals at the Melanesian Cup. And, you know, we're very happy that we've got selection committees of 4 people in place for both groups to select the right people. So it'll be exciting come Saturday, the squads that are announced, and I think it's another step forward for basketball in this country.
Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
To snooker, the nominations for the 2017 BSP PNG National Men's Snooker titles are now open. PNG Billiards and Snooker Vice President John Chan said nomination and registration fees are 200 kina per player for the minor titles and 250 kina per player for the major title.
POM-BSA Vice President John Chan said those with a handicap and 20 or higher can nominate for the minor titles, while those with handicaps of 20 or lower can enter the major title. The nominations and registration for the minor titles will close on Friday, September 1st, while the majors close on Monday, September 11th. Chan said nominations are open for at least 2 months to give ample time for the players to raise the required fees needed to participate. Like previous competitions, it will be on first-come, first-served basis for a limited space of 40 players to participate in each of the titles. President Chan said Bank South Pacific has confirmed their support as naming rights sponsors for the 14th consecutive year. The nomination forms are available from the Lamana Q Club, Laguna Hotel and Aviate Club. These are the 3 venues where the tournament will be held. To avoid disappointments, Chan said players should nominate and register early and be part of this premier men's snooker event. Shane Saroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
To football, the OFC Under-19 Women's Championship will get underway at Ngawe Reserve Park in Auckland, New Zealand. The tournament will kick off next week, Tuesday, and plays out over 5 match days. Defending champions New Zealand will be joined by Papua New Guinea, Fiji, New Caledonia, Tonga and Samoa. Each team will bid for the 2017 title and a place in the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup France 2018. Known to his millions of online followers as the Body Coach, fitness coach Joe Wicks set a new Guinness World Record on Wednesday for the largest ever high-intensity interval training session. Thousands of people joined the session that was held at an annual concert series in London's Hyde Park.
HIIT consists of short bursts of intensive activity, followed by short periods of recovery, and can blast calories, build muscle and boost endurance, fitness trainers say.
My top tip for getting fit is to do home workouts. Take that thing of, having to travel to the gym and rushing around and being late and stuck in traffic. Do them in your garden, your living room, you're outside in the park. Home workouts really are going to be the one thing that keeps you on track. You can keep it up and you can do it at home in quick time.
By breaking the record previously at 3,687 people, Wicks and the huge crowd consisting of 3,804 people had to exercise continually for over 30 minutes.
I never had a clue really. I kind of thought it was going to be really close because the world record was 3,600, so we've only beaten it by 200, but seeing everyone out there exercising, it was so inspiring. It's really made my day and I'm so proud that everyone came out and supported it.
After starting his career as a personal trainer, Wicks now has nearly 2 million followers in social media platform Instagram. He has published cooking books and has appeared on British television shows. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
To the 2018 Youth Olympic Games, it is expected to be bigger and better as it engages more young people in the Games, from athletes to media personnel and coordinators. The International Olympics Committee Coordination Commission visited host city Buenos Aires Argentina 2 days ago and made known its aim to boost participation. Gender balance is not the only agenda they will push for. They will also go for a more urban setting, which will give participants more exposure. Chair of Buenos Aires 2018, Gerardo Huertin, said the 2018 Games will have an innovative and modern approach. He added it will be an open event for everyone to enjoy. That ends True Guys Sports. The weather details after the break.
True Guys Sports. True Guys Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region: mostly fine and cool in Port Moresby and Daru. In the Mombasa region, mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Lae, and a shower or two in Madang. In the New Guinea Islands region, possible heavy thundery showers in Lorengau and Buka, and possible moderate thundery showers in Rabaul and Kokopo. And in the Highlands region, mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Hagen, and fine weather apart from a shower or two in Kundiawa, Mendi, Wabeg and Goroka.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the way it is this Friday, the 7th of July 2017. From the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.